There was a lot that happened in the past 2 years culturally, just with people being like, are the things that most doctors, right, are recommending for me, are those really good for me? Are those the things that I should do? I have a really good doctor. There are really good doctors, but there's just some things, right, where you're like, okay, are you giving that to me because you get a pharmaceutical kickback?
Yes.
Like, what else is at play here?
Yeah.
And so I think there's been an awakening. I also think, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but like cancer is rapidly rising between 20 and 40. What is that? What's happening there? And a lot of it is colon for men. And it's like this, oh my goodness, like how can we stop this? How can we start normalizing like, hey, what is like a normal bowel movement? Men also don't go to the doctor as regularly.
No.
So it's like, and they're more like quiet sufferers, like, oh, it'll be fine. Well, then all of a sudden you're like, oh my goodness, no, this is deadly. We have to start addressing this. And so I think they're calling, Gen Z Generation Health. There's a lot of smart reasons why the increase in cancer, maybe watching parents age faster than we thought. Like our grandparents maybe weren't as affected by the processed food and the standard American diet because they didn't deal with that their entire lives. Our parents, our generation or maybe my generation is dealing with that a lot of like, okay, if you grew up on cereal, you're arthritic by the time you're 30.
Yeah.
Also this like crazy alcohol culture that was like allowed to be basically, I mean, the amount of people that are in their 30s that have gone all the way through Alcoholics Anonymous, and then you see this kind of zero proof movement coming out too, where it's like alcohol is going to be the next cigarettes. Like, wow, this wasn't good for me. And culturally, this was like totally, I mean, no one even thought twice about it, right? Where at least now some people are like, hey, what is this doing for you nutritionally?
Yes.
What is it costing you physically? Like those sorts of things. So I think there's a lot of reasons why that's happening. I mean, there's a lot of, I remember, so my family's, we've consumed raw milk for 9 years. Our oldest son is 11. And I remember we just like didn't tell people. We were like,
because people thought you were crazy 9 years ago.
We were like, no one gets it. We would call it milk from the farm. So like our kids, if they accidentally told a friend,
say organic
we just drink milk
yeah.
from the farm. Okay. And it's like, but we didn't. And now to just see people waking up to like, this is good for me. And I credit my mother-in-law with that. And I used to bring, to like my chagrin, like store-bought milk to their house when Isaac and I were engaged because I was just not ready. But like she let me, and that's what I think is so important. Like she let me discover why, and that it wasn't forced on me. And so I think I see Fond as like providing opportunities for people to engage with something in its purest form. Like our plain tallow is called Pure and Unflavored. We've got that plain, pure and unflavored bone broth. We also have like the flavor ones that you can really have fun with and enjoy. But it's like wherever you're at, if you want to fry an egg or if you're like really sick and just need a product that is as clean as you can humanly buy, we can engage with you at that point too. So, I mean, I think to answer your question in a long rabbit trail, I think there's a lot of things happening culturally that are a positive. Like being healthy is cool now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, that is great.
It's been a while since that's been the thing.
Yeah.
Like, has that happened in American culture?
my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love that part. And I also think there are some really scary things that are happening in the amount of, like, heart disease, cancer specifically, high blood pressure. Is that because we're all, like, extremely caffeinated all the time? Like, I mean, and then there's real nutritional deficiencies. The other thing that, I used to do, which people thought was crazy, is, I was like, there's no way I'm taking birth control. There's no way I'm synthetically giving myself a hormone to stop something natural. And so Isaac and I, we love having 6 kids, and that's part of a decision that we made. But now to see that it's like becoming normal as a woman to ask questions about this and to be like, wait a minute, I don't want to be force-fed something that disrupts my natural cycle. there are other ways around this, right? There are ways that I can intelligently navigate this if I don't want to have children right now or for years. And so I love to see that too. I just think it's like, I would love to hear what you guys think is driving it, but I think it's a really beautiful time.
It's such there's so much good information on what you just said too. Like even the thing around this epidemic of young men getting cancer, colon cancer in their 20s to 40s. Like anyone that has IBD that has gotten a colonoscopy in their 20s will tell you, like, even though it was really intrusive, like, why are men waiting until 50 to, like, why is that societally accepted? Why do we not know how to interpret, like, our blood work that can literally tell you, hey, your inflammatory markers are really high. You should start treating that. It's like we're catching a lot of this stuff until it's way too late. And also to your point, like when you just very simply look at a lot of the inputs of modern society, the outputs and the negative health outcomes make a lot of sense too. So it's
overload.
Yeah, but it's encouraging. That's one of the encouraging things about social media is I think you were saying at Fawn, you're just offering options, like kind of similar to what your mother-in-law did to you, because that's one of the benefits of social media is that you just hope that you continue to put out content and then that right piece of content catches the right person and then they have that like intrinsic desire to change, because until you have that, it doesn't really matter. But once you get it, then people are like, oh, like, give me the bone broth, give me the beef tallow, give me the regenerative farming. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's just your way of life.
Yeah, I think COVID did a lot of good for the health movement also.
Yeah.
Where it pointed out, at least to me, and I think like a lot of friends that I have who don't take their health as seriously, that a lot of people have lost the plot. Like, just starting to question, like, why are they recommending this?
Right.
If, like, you know, wearing masks, like that was clearly something that didn't end up working, and they told us to do it.
It's harmful.
What else should we question?
Yeah, it was harmful like psychologically harmful to children. And I hope that children are so resilient and I hope that they can recover from it. But it's like, it was harmful.
Definitely. And that was something that wasn't even really talked about. It was all like fear around the pathogenic, like the virus. It wasn't around the psychological impact that those kids would have to live with the rest of their lives.
Yeah, I can remember, and people thought I was so cruel, but I can remember being in a store and there was a child and she was, I think about 2. Her dad was holding her and she wasn't wearing a mask and I wasn't wearing a mask and everyone else in the store was wearing masks. And I smiled at her. And I remember her being like, and then like, and her smiling back at me. And I was just like, this should not be a rarity.
Yes.
Like this human connection between strangers. And think about that, like not being able to see someone's face, like how unsettling that is. And you can read their eyes. But anyway, we could talk for a long time about that. But
totally.
I think that it's just, I love the awakening that's happened. It's a really cool time too as a brand. It's like the, teach a man to fish thing, right? Like we can give you those nuggets about your health and then you're going to look into 12 different things and come back. And we've had customers who've come back and then educated us on something, right? Because they went down a rabbit hole and we're like, thank you for sharing that. We're going to share that with the rest of the Fawn family, right?
Definitely.
So it's definitely, we're feeling it though.
That's amazing.